a candidate deep dive on Brandon Hyde, what to do at Grant McCray, and a player profile on Diego Velasquez. That's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Alan Stiles. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area, but I live in Sacramento now. I also host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, the Alan Stiles Show. Be sure to check that out, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., Monday through Friday, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are talking about a candidate deep dive on Brandon Hyde, what to do with outfielder Grant McCray, and a player profile on Diego Velasquez. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So we are discussing Brandon Hyde. He's our candidate deep dive, another guy that the Giants are interested in. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a second here, but the Giants have spoken with him. We don't know if there's been an initial or an official interview yet, but the Giants have had at least some conversations with him, and for good reason. Brandon Hyde is a Santa Rosa, California native, which is huge. I think that's just really cool whenever a hometown kid can be a part of the hometown team, which gives him local roots that could carry symbolic weight for San Francisco fans. He managed the Baltimore Orioles from 2019 until May 2025, compiling a record of 421 in 492. Okay, so obviously that doesn't sound great, but there are some reasons for that. His highlight year was 2023 when he led Baltimore to 101 wins and won AL Manager of the Year honors. However, 2025 was rough. He was dismissed in May after a poor start, 15-28 to the season. Hyde's coaching resume is deep. He's held roles as a bench coach, director of player development, first base coach, even interim manager during his time in the Marlins system before joining the Cubs and eventually Baltimore, all right? According to the San Francisco Standard, Hyde spoke last week with Buster Posey during the Giants managerial search, though it is unclear whether that was a formal interview or exploratory conversations. Other outlets likewise report that Hyde spoke to a, quote, NL West team about a managerial opening, and he's one of the names being considered. So Hyde is very much in the mix, not a whisper, and his experience and local ties make him a serious option to consider. By the way, since releasing the episode yesterday, yes, the Padres position is now open with their manager retiring. How does that affect things? That's a team that I would say, based on what they're doing, who they have, I know there's a lot of things and how that season ended was kind of sketchy, but the talent that they have down there, that is definitely a situation that could be a little bit more desirable than the Giants. So could the Giants lose out on some of the guys that they're talking to because of this Padres opening? We'll have to wait and see. Why Hyde could be a good fit for the Giants. Again, local identity and connection. Having a North Bay native managing the Giants carries a narrative appeal, even though we just kind of did that with Bob Melvin. Hyde's ties to Northern California could buy fan goodwill and a sense of homegrown leadership, proven in a rebuild and small market environment. Hyde took over a very weak Baltimore franchise and eventually brought them to playoff contention. I still don't really know what happened in Baltimore. Adley Rutschman was really injured this past season. They have a bunch of young talent. I just think it might have been a random year where it didn't work out. I know they went to the playoffs and weren't able to turn the tide there. But yeah, I think the whole Baltimore thing has just been very confusing. So the experience in Baltimore and managing through those growing pains mirrors what San Francisco needs right now. And it's not even as bad as what was going on in Baltimore. San Francisco has the bones, if you will. They just have to figure out a couple things and just tweak, I would say, some of their approaches to get to that next level. Someone who's not just polished, but battle tested in building upward. Unlike unlike many candidates in the Giants pool who are first-time managers, Hyde has led a major league staff through full seasons, making game decisions, managing rotations, and navigating media scrutiny. That gives him an edge in terms of already been there credibility, alignment with what Posey says he wants. Posey has publicly emphasized that the Giants need obsessive attention to detail, strong tone setters, and someone who can lead without always speaking. Hyde's history suggests he values structure, accountability, and development. Hyde's track record of developing talent via his development roles also aligns with the front office that wants a manager integrated not just into game day, but into building the organization. Here are some of the risks, weaknesses, and concerns. 2025 was terrible, right? That 2025 just spiraled downturn, and ultimately his dismissal, his firing in the middle of this past season is a blemish. It raises questions about how he handles adversity, sustaining success, and whether 2023 was a bit of an outlier. Overall, he does have a mediocre record. Like I said, 421 and 492 doesn't inspire a ton of confidence. Much of that record stems from early rebuilding years, but critics would point to it. Hyde must show that he can deliver consistency, not just flashes of excellence. Rebuilding versus contending pressures. I think this is a huge one. Hyde has managed best when building up. And I've always said this, exceeding expectations is easier than meeting them. Right. So he was exceeding expectations once Baltimore kind of got rolling. In San Francisco, expectations will include contention sooner rather than later. He'll need to pivot accordingly, not stay in rebuilding mode too long. A buy-in from the front office and personalities. Posey is trying to execute a pitching and defense identity. Hyde will need to prove he can adapt to that identity and not resist changes. Also, he might face tension with established veteran players who prefer a manager with a longer track record or style familiarity. He has experience, so he has a record, and that record isn't outstanding. Other guys that are coming in brand new, Kurt Suzuki, Nick Hundley, they don't have the experience, but they also don't have a mediocre record. Guys get hired that don't have connections to their organizations pretty often. Locked on Giants, don't move. Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Maximizing my investments, increasing my savings rate, easily reviewing finances with my partner and my financial advisor, keeping a clear view of my financial health week to week and long-term. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Everybody has their favorites, right? Maybe it's Grant McCray. Give Grant McCray more time. Maybe it's Drew Gilbert. Give Drew Gilbert more time. But the reality is the Giants, they probably just need to go and get somebody. How they do that and who they keep, I don't know. I think Drew Gilbert could be a starter. I think Grant McCray, we're still trying to figure that out. I think Drew Gilbert could be at least a guy that can fill in for you, a spot starter in the league, whether that's with the Giants or not. I don't know if that's where we're at with Grant McCray quite yet. So here are these strategic paths forward. Continue as a shuttle depth call-up, using him as a fresh arm, if you will, in the outfield when veterans need rest for defensive replacements, pinch runs, late inning matchups. This gives him MLB exposure while minimizing downside. And, you know, I think there's a good point to that because maybe that is his path. There are some guys, I don't know. I know he's really fast, and there are a lot of really fast guys out there, but maybe it's a situation where that's just what he is. Maybe he's just not a starter, and we don't need to continue to try to look at him as a starter, as specifically on the Giants or wherever he heads next. And you know what though? I thought about this, and I don't know if it's too late or if it's that easy to do. And once again, I understand that there are a lot of fast people out there, and he might not be that fast. I look at a guy like Chandler Simpson on the Tampa Bay Rays, and I don't think Grant McCray is as fast as him because he's probably the fastest guy in the league. I also don't think Chandler Simpson has as much pop as Grant McCray. Grant McCray is a little bit taller, got a little bit more wiriness to him, but I don't think either of them are 20-a-year home run hitters, right? So if you're Grant McCray, I do think that maybe getting back to your roots a little bit working on small ball, working on bunting, working on just putting the ball in play, you could find a lane somewhere and go from there. Right. Maybe that's just the path for Grant McCray. But right now, I think the issue is he just doesn't really have an approach at the plate. He's not trying to go the other way. And maybe that's not his fault. Maybe that's, hey, in Sacramento, well, what do you guys, what's his job? I know when I was out there, and I know the 2-hitter nowadays is the best hitter, but there was a good bit of the season where Grant McCray was hitting 3. And I thought that was kind of interesting because my coach, coaches that I've had, they've always said they want to prepare you for the next level. So Grant McCray is never going to hit 3 for the San Francisco Giants. So I'm not really sure why he was hitting 3 for the Sacramento Rivercats. And that's just my personal opinion, right? I had a coach who, hey, I think that you might be more of a left fielder once you get to the D1 level or whatever it is. I don't know that you're a D1 center fielder. And obviously I didn't want to hear that, but I played left field when I went D1, right? I played a little bit of center, but I played mostly left field. Grant McCray is never going to hit 3 for the San Francisco Giants. So I don't know why the Rivercats have him hitting 3. That doesn't really make any sense to me. That's just kind of a pet peeve of mine, to be completely honest with you. But to continue on, you can continue to use him as that shuttle depth call-up, as I mentioned, extended AAA role with focused development, give him consistent at-bats. To me, they've already done that, right? So option number 2, we've seen that already, right? Maybe there's another year, let him dominate AAA. Okay, you can. Number 3, platoon or situational use in the bigs, if you will. Too many other guys, right? That is not a bad idea, but you brought in Drew Gilbert. So depending on what happens this summer, I don't see how that happens. And again, last but not least, you can trade him based on what value he has. And obviously he'd be a part of a larger deal with other players involved. McCray is unlikely to become a star bat, but his value is real in a balanced roster. In the long run, he profiles as a plus defender, a center fielder with some power, base running value if he can push his offense into the average territory. In the context of Giants team emphasizing pitching and defense, McCray does fit. And if his bat just catches up a little bit, he can be a piece. I don't know about a core piece. If not, he remains valuable depth piece and a trade asset. So that's where we're at with Grant McCray. One more segment for you. Let's discuss Diego Velasquez, a player profile on someone else, number 22 prospect for the San Francisco Giants. Locked On Giants, don't move. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What I love about FanDuel, I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. So this is a fun one for a couple reasons. We are talking about Diego Velasquez, the number 22 ranked prospect at 22 years old out of Venezuela. He signed for $900,000 in 2021 and has quietly developed into one of the most polished and reliable hitters in the Giants farm system. Again, he's made steady progress every year, and he's in Double-A now. He just spent the season in Double-A, holding his own against competition that tends to be a little bit older. Scouts and team officials continue to praise his mature approach at the plate, which has been the foundation of his success since signing as a teenager. Here's the thing about Velasquez, which really I think fascinates me, that he doesn't have a single elite tool, but his offensive consistency stands out. He's a switch hitter with compact, efficient mechanics and excellent pitch recognition. He rarely chases outside the zone, keeps a short path to the ball, and sprays line drives to all fields. His contact rate and strike zone awareness are among the best in the system, and his .310 average, which 370 on-base percentage in 2025 reflect that. Most of his extra base hits come in the form of doubles and well-struck line drives, but he's shown incremental improvement in lifting the ball. His .430 slugging percentage this year marks his best yet. While he's unlikely to ever be a true power threat, he's begun to show his pull side and lift as a right-handed hitter that could translate into 10, 12 home runs per season at his peak. By the way, he goes 6'1", 100. It says 150 pounds. He might be a little bit more than that now. On defense, Velasquez has gradually transitioned from shortstop primarily to playing second base, where his range, soft hands, and strong internal clock have made him one of the steadiest defenders on the Richmond roster. His average arm strength plays better at second, though he's still capable of sliding over to short in a pinch. Scouts have also noted improvements in his footwork and pre-pitch reads, evidence of the instincts and work ethic that have fueled his rise. Let me say this, because I know what some of you are thinking. They got a bunch of second basemen, right? I would counter that and say, they have a bunch of infielders. They have a bunch of middle infielders. From what we've read so far, it feels like the second basemen are a little bit further along, and I don't think that's a surprise. Sounds like the second basemen are further along than the true shortstops in the system, some of the other international signings and guys like that. So that makes a decent amount of sense to me, because you look at their age and things like that. He's already 22, but I know what a lot of you are thinking, and I would say, you know what? The more the merrier. Obviously, they can't all play at the same time, but they're also not all going to hit. So literally and figuratively. So I don't really see it as an issue, but I know that's what some of you are probably thinking. Athletically, Velasquez is an average runner, but a heady base runner who reads pitchers well and takes extra bases with awareness rather than speed. He's also taken pride in his conditioning, adding lean strength in the offseason without sacrificing his agility. Evaluators see Velasquez as a high-floor, contact-oriented infielder who fits neatly into the Giants' organizational emphasis on pitching defense and situational offense. His skill, see this, by the way, just a little thing I have. This reminds me of an old school, this is a two-hitter. This is a two-hitter to me, right? Not crazy speed, can put the bat on the ball, can handle the bat, can bunt, things like that. I know that's not what a two-hitter is now, but just let me say, get off my lawn for a second. This is what a two-hitter used to be back in my day. His skill set evokes comparisons to players like David Fletcher or Nick Madrigal, though some believe his developing strength could give him more offensive upside. You love to hear that. If he continues to progress at this current rate, he could reach AAA early 2026 with a shot to debut in the majors by late 2026 or early 2027 as a reliable, versatile infield contributor. Velasquez might not make headlines like some of the other Giants' flashier prospects, but his ability to put the ball in play, control at-bats, and provide defensive reliability gives him a real chance to carve out meaningful role in San Francisco, especially as a team leans further into its identity of pitching and defense first baseball. I like, when I was trying to figure out who I wanted to cover today for the player profile, I wanted to do this one because a lot of times when we hear guys get pulled up, we think that every prospect is going to be an absolute stud. We think that every prospect is going to be the savior. And the Giants have decided that they have different areas. They have different levels of lottery tickets, if you will, or gambles that they are putting out there. They have some big gambles that we've talked about. They have some safer gambles that we've talked about as well. And this seems like a pretty safe bet. When this guy comes up, reminds me, sounds like Christian Cos, to be honest with you. Sounds like a Christian Cos that might be able to pop a little bit more. And sometimes teams are right or wrong in good and bad ways. Sometimes you think a guy isn't going to pop the way he does, and you see what he turns into, and it surprises you. Other guys, you think they're going to be the savior of the franchise, and then they're not. They end up just being average or maybe even less than that. So I really wanted to read off Diego Velasquez because he's not somebody you talk about a little bit more, at all. Feels like his path to becoming the number 22 ranked prospect was one that a lot of people didn't see coming. And he goes back to that kind of old school approach that we've seen before, right? High contact. A lot of you say the Giants strike out too much. This is a guy that can help that. Not now, but in the near future. So was really excited when I was reading his profile because I know the Giants have, like I said, similar guys to Christian Casas and things like that. But that's also in a couple years where I don't know where Christian Casas is going to be in 2027. I don't know where a lot of these guys are going to be. I don't know where Casey Schmidt's going to be in 2027. So this is a guy that seems more of a safe bet, not someone that's going to blow your socks off with what he's able to do, hitting the bat or hitting the ball all over the yard. But this is what we've talked about. Hey, if Oracle is going to be Oracle, let's get guys that can just play into it and not try to, hit dingers all the time. Just put the bat on the ball. So keep an eye on Diego Velasquez. I hope he makes his way up to Sacramento this upcoming season. So I will have even more of a close eye on him for you as we continue to break down all of these different prospects. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. Also follow the Locked On Giants official account on X. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until the World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to comment. Let me know how you're feeling about the Giants. Who do you want the Giants to hire as a manager? Are you feeling Brandon Hyde? Should it be somebody else? Until tomorrow, we will talk to you then. Peace.